Can you see by arms early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fights, oh, the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming. Young rocket treading, the bomb bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, Satan's that star spangled banner, yeah, wave for the land under the frame. You're the home of the brave. Yes, we are the brave. We'll fight to rename the name of the brave. We are the US of A. For those unaware, that flag is still there. It's our future to save. Stand of the brave, the US of A. Oh, Satan's that star spangled banner, yeah, wave for the land under the frame. In the
amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to feel, and grace my feet relieved. to sing God's praise. Then when we first begun, amazing grace, how sweet a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see.
Okay, kids, we're back. We're on live. How am I sounding tonight? Made some adjustments on the mixing board over here, so hopefully it's coming in a little louder and a little clearer. And we've had a busy day today. Actually, a busy weekend. We were at a gun show over in County Lake at the County Lake Sportsman's Club. And thanks, Jack. I was hoping somebody would give me a hit or good sign on the sound. When I come down here, I had all these messages from Windows telling me I needed to do some updates. So I was hoping they would get done before the show started. So I did, and they did, and so I made some other adjustments here, and hopefully it's going to work out okay. And that so. Anyway, like I was saying, I was at the gun show at the County Lake Sportsman's Club. It's a smaller show, but it's always been a good show. And this weekend, but being that I keep punishing myself by bringing myself more work, I spent about $800 in getting some supplies. So I can go to the next show and maybe do $1,300 and just keep on going and going like that, and be able to pocket 500 dinero, so that I'm going to work on paying off another one of my bills, since I got my taxes all taken care of. And I only owe $2,400 on it's a four-wheeler that I use to do some work around here, and I use to get my ass into the woods, so to go hunting. So I owe about $2,400. So if things go right, I'm hoping that by the time my December payment comes, I can just send them a check for the fully amount. And then that will only leave one more time payment that I'm working on, and that's the purchase of the new piece of land where our new undisclosed location is. And once I get that, that has about excuse me,
my son has been paying a little extra on it, so we're hoping to have it done in about 16 months. Now I get this one taken care of, then I'll put a little bit more extra on it, and maybe we'll be able to get it done in a instead of being 16 months, we can get it done in a year. Then I will be out of debt as far as loans to anybody for anything, as long as my car holds up. And um, then I may not have to work as hard to do as many gun shows because I will then have, if they don't raise the property tax out of sight, then I will have just about enough money each month to be able to set up um, well, shit, set up a time payment with these people so I can keep my house until they decide that we're not only we're going to raise your taxes, but since you can't pay them, kick you out. And I still say that we need some younger people to get out there and organize some civil disobedience to put a stop to the crap that's going on in this country. Take a page of from Gandhi out of India there, and some um, civil disobedience. But hey, as long as we have these undereducated and people in our country that can't think and reason, why they just they're being spoon fed and they're slurping it all down. But yeah, it was the show was fairly well attended, and the weather cooperated on Saturday and rain till about noon, 1 o'clock here, and then which rain is always good for a gun show because people don't like to go out and work in the rain. Only a few diehards are out there hunting in the rain, but so anyway, next week I will be at Rocky Grove for the show there. Then the uh, following show, I will be at the Jefferson County Fairgrounds, Jefferson, Ohio. That's usually been a good show. So, Jack, probably within 60 or 40 to 50 miles of your place. It takes me 45 minutes to drive from here to there, which is 45 miles, which is just right about the halfway point from Meadville to, whoops, not my mic. Did you hear that clank? Um, from here to Cleveland. So, I'd like to see you stop over if you're not busy, Jack, and visit for a while. Um, but anyhow, then the following week after Jefferson at the Jefferson County Fairgrounds, I have my show at East Mead, which at the East Mead Fire Hall, which is 5 miles um, past Meadville on Route 27 towards Titusville, and we have we have 3 rooms that we could use and get a total of 70 tables in there. The biggest room will hold 50 tables. Well, I filled that one today. We now have the biggest room filled, so I will be working on filling the other 2 rooms, and each one of them will hold about 10 tables each. So it has the makings of being a pretty good show now. Excuse me a second. Oh, that is smooth. So anyway, um, we will be there. Hopefully, fill it up. Oh, I know what I was saying. And I normally get and like to have 3 months before a show, get the flyers printed up. Well, I did that. I got flyers printed up uh, 1st of September because we didn't have any shows between then and 1st of September. And I normally get 500. Well, I'm going to have to make up some more myself because I've got maybe 25 left out of 500 flyers, and we have 2 shows to go to put them out and advertise. So, used to be in days of old, I used to get 5,000 flyers and pass out 5,000 flyers at a time, but it's gotten too hard to do that with the cost factors now because the prices have gone skyrocketing. And I'm going to have to say the attendance is a little bit weak because a lot of the elderly people who were going to the gun shows have passed on. So the newer generations, there's not as many as there used to be picking up the pace. So uh, it's a strange situation. And if we don't do something pretty soon, there will be no more gun shows. I will tell you that. They're already catching flack out there about the gun shows again. And I do want to say I do have a person coming to my East Mead show and to my Chapmanville show, which is the weekend after East Mead, that has some interesting parts. Um, for those that need some parts, he has some interesting parts for you. And getting down to the end where I don't want to keep going here. I'm going it that way. Blow some air in there. So, if all I can tell you is, if you need something and you have the means to get it, you had best better get it. And I got a question for you. My son was telling me, I didn't catch the story and didn't see nothing on it, but it don't surprise me. My son is one of these people that follows other news. He heard that Chicago last weekend, I think he said, had a 2-gang shootout. I believe he said a couple people were injured and a couple people may have been killed, and they arrest the rest of the gangs that they caught, but they turned around and released them with no charges. Now I don't know if that's true or not. Being it's coming out of Chicago, and the people that they have running that city, it does not surprise me one bit. So if there's any of you people out there that may have heard the news or can confirm that, I'd like to know, so that because like I say, I can't read everything or hear everything, and sometimes I hear something, I just like to have some confirmation that it took place. Okay. Well, it's down that far. I guess I'll just let it die. Yeah, Scotty's not going to be able to make it. He's suffering from a sinus doohickey, and I know how that is because I used to be able to. Yeah, I used to get sinus infections about twice a year. Once in the spring, once in the fall. Whether I needed it or not, it always seemed to come by. Um, it got so bad that when I got them, I ended up having to go and get antibiotics to clean them up. Well, then I started sniffing colloidal silver with one of those little air things. I made the silver myself. I have my own little power pack, and I got my own silver rods. And I use well water. I have clean water here, so I use well water. No chemicals in it out of the faucet or anything like that. And I put it in an aerosol, and I spray up my nose. And I haven't done that for a while, but I haven't needed it because my sinuses have cleared up. I don't think I've had a cold or a sinus infection for nigh on to, I'm going to say 5 years now, knock on wood. And come in. Oh, that was me. Sorry. So, anyhow, I will be getting a visit from my doctor friend tomorrow, and hopefully she will have her schedule figured out or straightened out so that we can set up a date and time for her to come and do the show on a Sunday night. So just keep that in mind. Keep that going to that fact that I'm still working on it and she's still up to it, and I will find out tomorrow if she's anywhere near ready to do that. So I know I'm jumping around a little bit. I heard from Mr. T. He's not making it up. But here's two more gun shows after Jefferson, Ohio. Ashtabula County Fairgrounds. Jack, I'm sorry. It was Ashtabula County Fairgrounds, Jefferson, Ohio. Anyway, November the 20th and 21st, Hermitage, PA, at the VFW on Route 62. And December the 11th and 12th, Harbor Creek, PA, on Route 20, and that's Harbor Creek, up in Erie County, and that's on Route 20. Now, I did pick up another flyer for a show coming up. This guy's gone a little freaky. He's got a show 4 months in a row. Well, actually, he does skip 1 month, but anyway. On December 11th and 12th, Yankee Lake Ballroom, 1814 State Route 7, Brookfield, Ohio. And then January the 8th and 9th. And December 11th and 12th is Harbor Creek, so I will be up at Harbor Creek. Shows like this way are too close together to the same spot, because this is where they're all at. And it will clean the people's pockets out of there before too long. So I may, depending on how my schedule goes, because I got shows lined up for next year on this list, not including the couple that I'm working on. So I will be putting on in the spring. I will be putting on probably 3 shows. I am working with the Pleasantville Fire Hall, which is about 7 miles on the other side of Titusville, going east. They have a social room that my buddy was out to look at here this last week. I had the case of the GI Thunders, and but anyway, he went out there and he says the room looks big enough that we could probably get 150 tables in there. So we're going to be working on that for next spring, and I want to get that set up as quick as I can, because that size show, I want to get as much advertisement out there as I can, because it's going to cost me Oh, it's going to cost me about not quite double to rent the building than what I'm paying. But at 150 tables, I can do that, and that won't hurt. I won't have to put much money into it, more time than anything. But um, hello there, Emmy. Glad to see you aboard. Um, so, Mr. T called. He's not coming tonight either. So I started to get into the story part here, but um, I have seen lots of lunacy out there this week, and you probably have too, since you folks are pretty much um, aware of what's going on. So California is at it again, and I don't know where we're going to stop there. Um, a soldier got in trouble for going up and talking to Trump at the rally that he was at the other day. I have the story here. And then the lieutenant colonel, I think he was, or colonel, that was critical of Biden's procedures on getting us out of Afghan, he's been released from jail after he had made a couple of postings on Facebook or whatever. But anyway, or YouTube or wherever you put him. So he's out pending charges of court martial for criticizing his hierarchy, and um, so there's all kinds of good shit. Plus the National Guard troops a lot of those troops that were down there from the red state pulled out of Texas, and so the shit just continues to go on and go on and go on, and just yeah, I got enough trouble keeping track of what's going on in our country. I don't worry about what's going on in um, France or some of the others. Yeah, yeah. I don't follow football anymore, kids. When the football league management decided to sanction some of the shit that these players were doing, I just said that's enough is enough. It was bad enough that they let them get down there and do their monkey shines in the end zone after they make a so-called great play for doing their job that they're being paid for. Then they started giving the Black Lives Matter the notoriety that they were giving them. I'll just put it that way. I will not. I don't watch it anymore. And I was an avid fan. I'd watch about 3 games on Saturday. I'd watch it on Monday, and then when they had the Thursday night football, I'd watch it on Thursday night. And I couldn't even tell you who's playing or if they're think. Oh yeah, and the name changing. When they start changing the name of the teams, in the same way with baseball. Whoever thought that naming a team the Cleveland Indians would be offensive to the Native Americans, or the Washington Redskins would be demeaning of the red men or the Native Americans in this country. Um, I always thought that that was a nice tribute to recognize the Native Americans. But apparently, I was all wrong. I look at it the wrong way. I gotta be a racist hater, uh, sexist maniac. You know what I mean? Um, in order to get along in this country, you have to hate everything you see and call it racist, even if you cannot, even if you don't know the answer to a question about something you're talking about. You just say, "Well, you're a hater," and you blows it all off. Yeah, or you're a racist, blow it all off. And I see now that Biden has signed a new executive order this week, or proclamation this week, changing the name of, well, hadn't officially changed the name, but Columbus Day is no longer supposed to be referred to as Columbus Day. It's supposed to be referred to as the Indigenous People Day. Okay. Now, there is tons of evidence out there that shows that Columbus may not have been the first person to set foot in North America, as history describes it. But based on the information they have, he's the first one to have been recorded as being there and back. There are other evidence the Vikings were up in northern part of the United States, Canada, not Nova Scotia, yeah, but up in Canada. And there's even evidence that the Knights Templar may have been here to the United States and Canada 300 or 400 years, but um, yeah, yeah. So anyway, I'm sorry, kids. I was being distracted by some of your chats and messages in the chat room, and yeah, that's right. He wanted to change it to the uh, insidious people, not insidious, but indigenous. Yeah, now I can indigenous People's Day. But for all those out there that are whatever, well, hello there, Mr. Bowser. I hadn't heard from you for a while. Yeah, and that. So glad you could join in. And yeah, if you want, you can plug your Shippensville show that you are helping with, because I believe, I'm not sure when that is. It may be conflicting with. It is conflicting. Oh, I know. It's conflicting with the Jefferson County or Jefferson. Yeah, the Ashtabula Gun Show over in Jefferson, Ohio, and. And so, consequently, yeah, October 22nd, 23rd. Yeah, Shippensville. That's been a good show for me. I hate to miss it, but so is Ashtabula gun show there. So, yeah, Dave's here, man. He may not be there, but he's here. I see him right there on the chat board. He's there. You're talking about the other Dave. He's not here. He's out smoking a joint. Speaking of which, see how the coffers of the city of Meadville are starting to get poor. They're no longer going to arrest people for smoking and having a small amount of marijuana. they're just going to fine them and give them sort of like a ticket, misdemeanor. But they're going to fine them. It's going to be a $200 fine. So they're figuring out new ways to raise taxes. This way, by fining them, they don't have to feed them when they put them in jail. They don't have to pay for a trial. And if they can't afford a lawyer, they don't have to pay for the lawyer to defend them in the trial or whatever. So it's much better. Just make it a parking ticket. You pay it, pay $200 fine, and away we go. So anyway, yeah, that's a new hickey here in Meadville, Pennsylvania. Um, so some of the liberal ways are getting here now. Personally, let me clarify something here. Personally, if you want to smoke marijuana, that's fine. But here's the thing that gripes me. If you are under the influence and you commit some sort of a crime, you should be tried for that crime, regardless whether you were under the influence or not. Because as soon as you bent that elbow, that's smooth, then you are responsible for your actions. The same way if you were drunk or high on some other opioid. If you do it in your house, I don't give a shit. But if you come out in public and you commit a crime, then you should be charged for that crime. If you don't want to punish them for being high on whatever, that's fine. But punish crime because they know they should be responsible. That if they do and they did, then they go to jail. And well, sure they'll. Well, I don't know if they. I don't think they'll steal it unless it's over so much, and I forget what they said it was, but um, they may. Who knows? Because they probably figure they can take it and you can go. You pay the fine and you can go keep the growers in business by buying more. That's now I see how this is working. They changed it so that the growers can, because it's being legalized in Pennsylvania for medical purposes, the amount of marijuana that's sold on the black market has decreased. So maybe this is a way to increase the coffers of the people that are raising it and subsidizing them, however you want to giving them a Recovery Act boost and that. Yeah, well, we all do that, you know. We all break something. What about the teachers? You see, we have a story about that here. The supposedly now the FBI is going to go after the teachers under the um, um, so-called Patriot Act and is branding them as domestic terrorists. So I'm not talking about teachers, I mean the parents, excuse me. Branding the parents of students who go to the school board and get after the school board for trying to push woke or CRT or the face mask, or I don't think they've started to force the inoculation on them, but that too. And the parents are um, anyway, school boards got scared. A lot of school board members have resigned. Well, you resign. You better resign if you're that scared because the parents are getting pissed off. Now, almost everybody's a parent. Some of us don't have kids in school. We're grandparents. But my son has a daughter in school, and So I can see where the anger is coming and building because we are being pushed under communist thumb daily, and uh, and that's what's bringing about some of this information that I'm hoping to bring up here in a couple of weeks with the doctor. I don't want to give out their name or his name or her name or whatever until the time of the show because I don't want any pressure to be brought on her to maybe try and get her to stop. Although that's the reason why she quit working at the hospital she did, because the pressure was brought on her because she was not following the suggested C to C protocol on how to treat the COVID patients. So be just warned about that. So um, you're up at Eldred. Why does Eldred? That don't sound like it's too far away. For some reason, that's ringing a bell there, Dave. Um, of course, my problem is when I want to go somewhere in Pennsylvania, I get in the car and go, and I don't worry about the Google map. I don't worry about a road map. Um, in fact, I've been doing lately, most of my traveling has been exploring the dirt roads, and which I now have to concentrate on rechecking and remarking a map to get to my undisclosed location again, because in the past couple of years we've had some of those roads washed out and they've got them closed and haven't bothered to repair them as of yet. So now I have to make myself a new map and get around that. And it's not for myself, it's for others to get to the undisclosed location. So, and, so anyway, I guess I've killed about 45 or 44 minutes here, so I suppose I better start doing some news, so people won't get bored with my chitter chatter. So since I was talking about the border between the Texas and Mexicali, I have a story. Excuse me, I gotta adjust my butt. Newsmax. U.S. border wide open after being propped up by the red state forces. Yeah, it's funny. A comment here, but I'll get to this. It's funny how you become a person who defends himself against a bully to where they promoted you to a bully, and then now they're promoting you to a domestic terrorist because you defended yourself. Welcome to the club, kids. And you know what? I don't think the FBI has enough room on their number one wanted list that they're going to be able to get us all up there. But we will see. Okay, back to Newsmax and the border in Texas. This is by Eric Mack, and I just pulled that up this afternoon after getting home from the gun show. The U.S. border between Mexico and Texas has been porous for months, but with red states National Guard and policing forces pulling out, wide swaths of the border are now going unmonitored. That has left the border wide open. Border Patrol agent Chris Cabrera, Vice President of the Border Patrol's Union Rio Grande Valley chapter, told the Washington Examiner. You better watch what you're saying there, mister. You'll have the other federal agencies after you, because you're criticizing the policies, especially Biden's. We're already stretched thin with their help, and having them here relieved a lot of pressure on us, Cabrera told the Examiner. Now they took away manpower and that we can't really afford for them to take away. Just 6% of the National Guard forces deployed in the southern border from Republican led states remain in Texas to help staff mobile camera towers or call in illegal border crossings or drug smuggling attempts. They would monitor and they would monitor the mobile center, mobile tower trucks, camera trucks. Cabria told the Examiner, nobody is bringing those out because they're not there. These were the static portions where we would put a vehicle and two guardsmen in there, so if somebody ran across here, they could call it out. The agents usually deployed in the areas pointed out by Cabria were pulled from their posts to help processing of illegal migrants under Biden's administration's border policy that has stressed immigration resources and checkpoints. For for 4 months, National Guardsmen from Arkansas and South Dakota, as well as state troopers from Florida, Iowa, Nebraska, and Ohio, were deployed, but nearly all have returned home. Former acting Customs and Border Patrol Commissioner Mark Morgan warned of the unstaffed 224 miles of the Del Rio sector of the U.S. border in September and in an interview with Newsmax. No one likes to hear it, but the Border Patrol does not have the statutory humanitarian mission. Morgan told Newsmax, it's a law enforcement border security agency, and that's what they are appropriated for. But they are doing nothing more than processing and transporting aliens, leaving our borders wide open for smugglers to push drugs, criminals, and gang members across the border. We are witnessing history. We have lost control of our U.S. border in Del Rio, and the state of Texas is now doing the job of Department of Homeland Security. Zeke Heil, responsible for the homeland. Hey, that felt good. I hadn't done that for a long time. Department of Homeland Security. Zeke Heil. Speaking of the border, I see Kamala Harris was supposed to go down to the border again, but she decided to skip it to go to, oh shit, what did she do? I think she went over to New Jersey instead of going to the border for some other political reasons, whatever. So it shows you how useless and deliberately open in your face the commies are in Washington. We don't give a shit what you think or what you want. We're going to do this, and you're going to like it, comrade. Well, I don't have to like it, and there isn't much I can do about it because of my age and physical condition. But, I will tell you this. If I could, I would. All right. So, all I can say is don't come for me. Don't come for me. You may get me. With the Lord on my side, maybe I can make arrangements for you to meet him. So, anyway, where did see somebody said that I thought I saw somebody said what she went to New Jersey for. I'm sorry. I thought I saw somebody put that on there, which was anyhow. So, well, I got about 8 minutes before the top of the hour. And I'll give this a little bit of attention that it deserves. Really doesn't deserve any, but this goes to show you what kind of bullshit's coming out of California and what type of governor that they got out there. And also off Newsy Max. I pulled this up yesterday. California, this by Adam Beam. California on Saturday became the first state to say large department stores must display products like toys and toothbrushes in gender neutral ways. A win for the LGBT advocates who say the pink and blue hues of traditional marketing methods pressure children to conform to gender stereotypes. Well, damn it, they are. You either are or you aren't. You got junk between your legs, you're a guy. If you don't, you're a girl. I mean, so how can you break that? Okay? It is. And just because you people can't reproduce naturally doesn't mean we should allow you to go out and recruit. Okay. The new law signed by Democrat Governor Gavin Newsom, communist Comrade Newsom, does not outlaw traditional boys and girls sections at department stores. Instead, it says large stores must also have a gender-neutral section to display a reasonable selection of items regardless of whether they have been traditionally marked for either girls or for boys. If I was a department store, a chain store, and they told me I had to do that, I would not put any of them in the store. I would not put any gender promoting shit in there anyway, shape, or form. This does not include clothes. The law only applies to toys and child care items, which include hygiene and teething products. Oh, we got a baby that's using crap, I forget what they call them little things to chew on for his teeth. It makes his gum feel better. So now we're going to have a gender specific so when he's chewing on the blue handled tit, he won't feel like he's a boy if he's a girl. As if he's really going to know the difference. You people are out of your fucking mind. Okay, it does not include clothes. The law only applies to toys and children items, such and such products, and it only applies to stores with at least 500 employees, meaning small business are exempt. They're exempt now, but you will give them time. I'll make a comment about this at the end here. This is the third time Democrats in the state legislature have tried to pass this law, with similar bills failing in 2019 and 2020. Assemblyman Ivan Lowe, a Democrat from San Jose, authored the bill this year, and he said he was inspired by the 10-year-old girl, daughter of one of his staffers, who asked her mom why certain items in the store were off limits to her because she was a girl. Well, California is the first state to require this. Some large department stores have already changed how they display their products. Target Corporation, with 1,900 stores across the United States, announced in 2015 it would stop using some gender-based signs in its store. The law was opposed by the Republicans and a number of the conservative groups who argue that the government should not tell parents how to shop for their children. That is right. You should not be taught about how to or what to buy, or forced to buy whatever it is they want to buy for the kids. It's supposed to be their choice, not the government's choice on how to raise them. Okay? And that's what I'm trying to tell you people. That's why California is having such a thing. And I will tell you right now, I'm glad I don't have a Target store in my area because I won't shop there. Just like I won't shop at Walmart, and I do have a super Walmart just about 6 miles from me. I don't shop there. Um, I think in the 20 so years that that's been there, I've been to that store 3 times. And um, yeah, GI Barbie or Ballerina Tom. Yeah, you got that right. So um, the thing of it is, they're starting with stores of 500 employees or more. But it'll be like the war on drugs when the government first come out and said to the banks that they have to report $10,000 deposits or more. Then a few years later, the IRS come out and said, well, now you have to report $5,000 or more. Now they got it down to 2,000, and they're pushing to get it down to $600 deposit or more. Or if you keep more than $600 in your checking account. So you see how how they're tightening the loop, tightening the loops. Don't you feel the pain in your crotch? If you're a guy, don't you feel them squeezing your nuts in a vice? Um, so I've talked to a lot of people at the show, and they asked me, a lot of them asked me if there's any way of changing this country, and I'm saying, for 20 some years, 30 years, I've been preaching and telling people about this coming down the pike. And I said I was hoping it would avoid a war, but I no longer see it being anything but coming down to a war. And so all I can say, if it does, if they drive us into a war, then we must clean that thinking out of this country. We've got to purge them. Not necessarily kill them, send them over to some of these other damn communist countries like China or Vietnam. Um, there's a couple other ones out there. I can't think what they are, but that's good enough. Those three. Northern Korea, send them there. If they go. Don't worry about turning out the lights. Don't bother locking the door, because we'll have somebody come in and turn out the lights for you and lock the door. Just get your shit and get. And okay, at this point, kids, it's 7 o'clock. I'm going to take a break and rest my voice because I've been talking for 2 days. And I want to get I want to be able to get some more stories here. Come on, boys. Come on. Be nice to Papa. Come on, get it up. Oh, not that way. Just get it up. And all your cotton pick. There you are. You're working slow tonight. You must work for the government. You're working slow. And come on. Where are you? I had them all picked out in when I like this one. I know there's other people like this one, so I'll play it.
I am the unknown soldier. Some call me MIA. Some say I can't go home again. Some say I chose to stay. I am the unknown soldier who you refuse to know. A brother and a friend of yours who left so long ago. Some call me Peter, the one they never tried to find. I'm the one they never tried to find. I'm a farmer from Missouri, the soldier from St. Paul. I was the hero of my family and still my picture's upon their wall. I'm a poet and a scholar, and the boy who lived next door. I am the unknown soldier, forgotten on a foreign shore, long forgotten on a foreign shore. I was someone's loving daddy, I was someone's pride and joy, I was someone's tender lover, a worried mama's little boy. And if you should just forget me here, then should I forget you too? Please won't you try to you? I am the unknown soldier with no more tears to shed. I'm just a fading memory, a part of the living dead. My country has betrayed me, yet I have forgiven you. And every night I pray to God that somehow he'll forgive you too. Yes, even somehow he'll forgive you too. I am the unknown soldier, the one for whom you cried. That for me that you can't face, the one your country told you died. I am the unknown soldier, with dreams you'll rescue me, and I am a man who understands. Only death might ever set me free. Only death might ever set me free. I am the unknown soldier, and I'm black and blue and gray. I said I am the unknown soldier, and I die slowly every day. And I'm tired, and I'm hungry, and I'm lonely, and I'm cold. I am the unknown soldier, the one you bought and sold. I'm the one you bought and sold. So lay down close beside me now and gently stroke my face and wrap your arms around me now before we leave this place. Some called me POW, some called me MIA. Some say I can't come home again, but I will return someday.
As long as I remember, we've marched across this land. Oh, reach for a new horizon, pull by the killing hand. Oh, fed up with lies. The time has come to break this chains and fly. Here we stand, bound forevermore out on this world until the end. Here we are, mighty, glorious at the end of the rainbow, with gold in our hands. We know the treasure lies beyond the pouring rain. Oh, our quest will last forever. For you, it's all the same. at the end of the rainbow with gold in our hands. Let's fly away through the rain, fly high to ease the burning pain. Oh, the colors burning out. The light is shining in the night. Bound forevermore, we're out of this world until the end. Here we are, mighty glorious at the end of the rainbow, with gold in our hands. Here we stand, bound forevermore, we're out of this world until the end. Here we are, mighty glorious at the end of the rainbow, with gold in our hands.
Okay, kids, we're back. Yeah, I was watching your comments come up on the chat board there. Yeah, as long as you don't go a Puritan. But here's my philosophy on this. If you follow the Constitution, you can do whatever you want. Just as long as you don't force it upon your neighbors. Okay? If they want to become a Puritan, then that's fine. That's their business. But if I want to go out and smoke a cigar, I don't want to be told I'm offending you because you're a Puritan and you don't believe in smoking, drinking, sex, or whatever, playing cards, dancing, or watching TV or anything like that. That's your business. So if we go back to the basics of what our Constitution was all about, we shouldn't have to worry about that. But it's because people have decided that they got into government that they know better for us than what we want, and we have no way of getting rid of them. And that's why I keep yelling and screaming at the top of my lungs, don't vote the bastard in. He's been there once, get rid of him. Just like Pennsylvania's ballot. My mother and I, we never used to believe in going by paper ballot, but with my hip getting so bad that I can barely walk at times and can't stand up, I've had to go to doing that, and her having her illness, we've had to go to use the ballot. But anyway, we got our ballot, and on it was the 6 judges of the Pennsylvania Supreme Court. We're running under retention. That means that they can be reelected without campaigning if nobody goes against them. So we both put down no. No, we're not retaining them. Get rid of them, or at least make them run against somebody else that we might have a little bit more influence with. Probably won't matter because where they're coming from, out of the bar association, and so they're all bought and paid for anyway. So, but be that as it may, don't send anybody back in that's been there for at least 2 terms. So anyway, that's where we're at on what's going on. And like I said, I agree with you not to turn this country into a Puritan nation, but we got to remember there's some of our ancestors who came from Europe Yeah, yeah. Well, 73 and having a bad heart, I don't think I can handle that stress, uh, guys. I've got I've got more wire in me than the space shuttle, and yeah, all Congress has to do is go back to the Constitution, scrap number one, get rid of the National Bank or the Federal Reserve, get rid of them bastards, or get rid of that, and go back to coinage of money. Coinage of money. Coinage of money. That does not mean printing paper fiat currency. That means coinage of money. Coins. Then all they have to do is print one single coin and stamp it worth $20 trillion and give it to the international bankers or hold it and say debt is paid. And if they do not accept it, debt is paid. And tell them to go screw themselves over the rest. Because as it stands right now, this country will never get out of the debt as long as we continue to pay the interest on the national debt, which is where every dollar of taxes goes, is to pay that interest. Then we turn around and borrow the money we need to operate the country. Okay? You will never get rid of or decrease the national debt unless you do that. Stop borrowing the money and pay your bills from what's coming in. Um, Social Security, for example, they were threatening with this shutdown, which they do every time that they're talking about a shutdown and having to raise the national debt. Well, the people, the senior citizens, won't get their may not get their Social Security check. Well, unfortunately, they're probably right, and I'm a senior citizen, and I understand that. But the damn bastards stole the money out of the fund and killed the trust fund that Social Security set up back in 32, 33, 34, whatever it is. They destroyed it when the Korean War came about because they needed money to fight the Korean War. They found, well, gee, there's all this money. We can take and borrow it from the Social Security and give them IOUs and then spend the money. And then they went so far as to finally just say, well, the government's already gone default. They haven't claimed it, but they've already gone default on Social Security and the trust fund. So now what they do is they take the money and put it all in general fund, and then they issue you your check, and that, which is not the way it was supposed to be. And I know Arlen's, he's dead. Not nice to speak ill of the dead. But Arlen Specter came to Meadville one time when they used to have in-person town hall meetings in which the people could go and address their questions to the assholes or the commies in charge, whatever you want to call them. But anyway, could go and express face to face their questions. And he stood up and he had the balls to stand up in front of the group of people and say, the problem with Social Security was they did not establish a trust fund back when they passed the Social Security Act. And I put my hand up. I said, unless my teacher was lying to me when I was taking civics class, when they passed the Social Security Act, they set up a trust fund. Because that was supposed to be paid into by every American, and then they would be able to draw out of it, and the federal government would only administer it. Well, we know how they administered it. They administered it out of that pocket and put it in this pocket. And so we've been screwed. We've been being screwed for a long time in this country, and the people are just, shows you how our educational system is brainwashing of people. They can't think or reason or think back that far. I know every so often I can't remember a certain thing that I want, like pacifier. Now I couldn't remember pacifier for the life of me. Okay, pacifist, yes, I can remember that, but pacifier, no. But Um, so when you get to be my age or our senior citizens age, your mind does slow down, but it's still strong enough to remember what I was taught back when I was in school. Back when the uh, the, uh, the American student was the most well-educated number one student in the world. We are now something like 23rd or 24th in ranking, but we were ranked number one for years until all this new shit and programs and mandates and all that kind of stuff. And by the way, remember, kids, mandates are not law. Mandates are illegal under the Constitution. And that, well, all you have to do is dig it up there, Uncle Bob. Dig it up and read it. Read the entire thing, and get the. Um, okay, it's a government agency. I'm not sure they have to file a comprehensive annual financial report or not, but they have some sort of an audit that they have to produce. But you go back to when that was done, and you will find out. Well, yeah, I see today that Shatner didn't get launched up because of high winds, and well, that's too bad for a guy who traveled more time in space on the um, um, Sandlot. He needs to go. So, well, that's done. I'm done. I'm done. I'll say I was done with that. Okay. Okay. Where's these other? Okay. Now, Morgan Freeman. This is out of Newsmax, and I pulled that up today. This is by Eric Mack. Morgan Freeman, not in the least bit for the defunding the police. Famed black actor Morgan Freeman has come out to denounce efforts to defund the police. I'm not in the least bit for defunding the police, Freeman told Black Enterprise Selena Hill, a self-described supporter for the defund the police movement, in an interview posted on Instagram. So in other words, they were trying to trap him in saying he was for it, and he really told him to go pound salt. Okay, police work is aside from all the negative around it, is a very necessary for us to have them, and most of them are guys that are doing their job. They're going out their day-to-day jobs. They're going about their day-to-day jobs. There are some police that would never pull their guns except in rage, that sort of thing. Freeman's film, The Killing of Kenneth Chamberlain, details the true 1911 story of a former Marine with bipolar disorder who was killed by police after accidentally triggering his medical alert device, leading to a confrontation with police that led to his death. I'm black, Freeman told the Associated Press last night. People don't seem to recognize that. Being so, and raised in the South, I watched the impunity in which black men, young men, had been killed by law enforcement. Quote, Freeman, who said he not treated like everyday black men because of his celebrity status, has helped start the program at the University of Mississippi to enter the evidence-based policing reform. Actor Frankie Falson, who plays Chamberlain in the film, echoed Freeman's remarks on reforming the police instead of defunding them. Well, I agree with Morgan, told, I'm certainly not in favor of defunding the police. Freeman lamented to AP that America historically kicked the can down the road on policing. It's sort of what we do. If we don't start something now, it's like everything else. It's just sort of rolls along, Freeman told the police. We've got to get much better. Now, I look at it this way. Because we have people who are going to commit violent acts, people who are too lazy to get a job, that need money, who are going to steal. Too many people who like to bully up on somebody, especially when they get drunk. Police are a necessary evil. I am for re-educating the police. We need to start with their schools that they go to, and get rid of the idea of teaching the police that it's them against us. Them against us. Okay, we're not against them. We want good, honest police work. We don't want people going around doing things to people that don't need it. Once they have them, they have them in custody or subdued, handcuffed, whatever. If they want to follow, bang themselves against the car, let them bang themselves against the car. Don't you do it. You got them handcuffed. That's enough. Let them do. If they're going to do somebody harm to themselves, let them do it. Don't you kill them in the process of saying you're trying to save their life. Just let them flop around, and then when they get tired or they beat themselves up enough that they pass out, then you just throw them in the police cruiser or take them to the hospital and treat their injuries. And then while they're still out, you take them down to the hokey pokey and lock their asses up. And yeah, you're right. They don't stop crime; they record it. That's because of that. Part of it's because of their hands being tied on what they're allowed to do. Used to be police officers were peace officer. Used to be police were walking a beat. Okay. Used to be when the police officers, especially when I lived in town, when they come around once or twice a week, we'd be sitting on our front porch. And they'd be walking a beat. And we talked to them. We knew who they were and all that kind of stuff. We didn't have a problem. Of course, we had a curfew too. If you were under 13, I think it was, you had to be on your own property by 9 o'clock. And if you were under 18 or 17, you had to be back on your own property at 11 o'clock. And but today the curfews are still there, but it's not being enforced. In fact, they used to sound the siren at 9 o'clock at night. All the fire departments would sound their siren at 9 o'clock at night to let people know the curfew went into effect. It's time to be in your appropriate place. Yes, I know they're saying, well, that's interfering with their right of freedom. No, it's keeping the honest, the good kid good. It's just like a lock on the door. A lock will only keep the honest person honest. A lock on the door will not keep a criminal out of your house or possession. Yeah, I see that cannabis. The shooter down there was released on bail. Now, I may get into trouble for this, but did you notice what ethnic group he belonged to? So anyway, yeah, there's a lot of work that would have to be done in straightening out police departments, but it won't get done if we don't start. And defunding the police is not the way to do it, because if you look at the FBI, damn it, if you look at the FBI report that was reported last week, where murder rate is up 30% in 2020 over 2019. And where most of it was centered, it was in the Democratic-controlled areas where nobody is being prosecuted for any crimes whatsoever. Just like that story thing they were referring to in Chicago, which I don't see any of you had answered me back, but um, you might. So I got a itch and pain in my right in the middle of my hand here, and boy, that drives me nuts. I've been reading that sometimes that's a side thing from arthritis that you get these things and they just hurt and burn and itch and that. So anyway, I forgot what I was talking about now. So, but moving onward. Stop staring at my tits. Well, Bob, I can't see your tits. So, unless you got a camera somewhere where you show yourself naked in the shower, and that wouldn't even be a sight for sore eyes. Anyway, um, where'd this one come? Okay, I got this off of WorldNet Daily. It's just a fairly short thing here. U.S. military investigating battle-scarred Marine for shaking Trump's hand at rally. The guy that pulled the baby over the wall is now in trouble. WorldNet Daily. The Federalist. The U.S. military is going after a young Marine from Georgia who dared to show his face at Donald Trump's rally in September. What we know is pretty straightforward. A man went on the stage in civilian clothes at the Save America rally with President Trump, introduced himself as Lance Corporal Hunter Clark, said he was the guy that pulled the baby over the wall in Afghanistan, thanked the crowd for their support, shook Trump's hand, and walked off. Now, Task and Purpose reports that military is investigating Clark to see if he violated any Department of Defense policies. The very existence of an investigation is a clear message that our only partisanship on behalf of the left will be tolerated in the U.S. military. That is clear message sent by investigating Clark and others such as Space Force Officer Matthew Lamar, while military higher-ups like Joint Chiefs of Staff Mark Milley openly lie to the president, commit treason on behalf of China, and defend anti-American neo-Marxist teachings to Congress. We are losing control of our military, and I'm going to tell you, years ago, Mike and I reported on some questionnaires that were being circulated throughout the ranks, and not only did it get done once, they did it a couple times. It was called 29 Palms, I believe is what they called it, in which they asked the rank and file of the military if they would fire on their own people if they were ordered to disarm them and the people did not give up their guns. And that was including their own parents. And at that time, if I remember right, 75% said no. So anyway, okay. Moving on. This is out of Newsmax. I got this yesterday. It's by Eric Mack. Trump, Biden has brought our nation to the brink of ruin. Everybody agree with that? Anybody disagree with that? Announcing a record crowd at the Iowa State Fair. Announcing a record crowd at the Iowa State Fairgrounds in Des Moines on Saturday night, former President Donald Trump continued his post-presidency stomping for 2022 midterm candidates, including an official endorsement of Senator Chuck Grassley, Republican of Iowa. As we gather tonight, millions of Americans are realizing that Joe Biden and the radical left have brought our nation to the brink of ruin, Trump told his Save America rally, which aired live on Newsmax. After just 9 months under Biden, violent crimes and bloodthirsty gangs are taking over our streets. Illegal aliens and deadly drug cartels are taking over our borders. Inflation is taking over our country. China is taking over our jobs. The Taliban has taken over Afghanistan. The lunatic left are taking over our schools, and the radical socialists are taking over our country. You can say didn't warn. You can't say I didn't warn you. Trump continued his rebuke of military leaders, including TV generals like Mark Milley, who he said was the one who claimed it was cheaper to leave the reported $85 billion worth of the latest, greatest weapons and equipment in Afghanistan during President Joe Biden's unconditional withdrawal in August. What are you, a nut job? Are you stupid? Trump claimed he told Milley about the advice to leave the equipment behind in Trump's administration withdrawal planning. That's when I realized that this was one of the many times I realized he was stupid. As for Biden, Trump called the destruction of our border policies, including breaking back, catch, and release, permitting a foreign invasion. Never before has the president showed so much utter contempt for his oath of office, Trump said. Joe Biden has launched a foreign invasion of his own country. He has also repeatedly saying Democrats used COVID in order to cheat in the 2020 presidential election, outlining the findings of the Arizona forensic audit in Maricopa County, leading to a crowd to chant Trump won. The whole world laughs at us on this, the border, Afghanistan, and everything Trump responded. Trump called for a complete overhaul of our entire election system. If we want to save our country and make America great, we have only one choice. We must elect strong and unyielding America First Republicans at every level. We must pass a complete overhaul of our entire electoral system to ensure it is free, fair, honest, and able to be fully audited, Trump continued. That begins with the 2020 midterm 2020 election, when we're going to reclaim the House. Okay, that's the end of that. Now, he is right about reforming the election process, but it should be very basic. It should be easy to do. If you are a citizen of the United States, then you are eligible to vote. If you are not a citizen of the United States, you are not eligible to vote. If you are handicapped and can't make it to the polls, or sick and can't make it to the polls, then you can use the mail-in ballot. But the ballot must be delivered to the polls by closing time of the polls. Otherwise, the ballot will not be accepted, like it was in Pennsylvania when the governor and the attorney general arbitrarily, without state approval, extended it for 3 days because they saw with the poll results, the polls showing Trump was leading in Pennsylvania again. That gave them 3 days in which to stack in the ballots, and that's why there was 200 to 220,000 more ballots cast in Pennsylvania than registered voters. That is fraud, and I don't give a shit what judge says it isn't, what district attorney or attorney general says it isn't. That is fraud, and it's on your face like mustard. So that's basically all you need. That's all you need to do. All this other fancy shit can be thrown out. But we've gotten this way because each generation has been making changes to try and make it more equitable for everybody to get there. But now, if we're going to continue to allow non-citizens to vote in our elections, we might as well just leave it open to the entire world. Let them vote for who they think we should have as president of the United States. Because basically, when you allow the illegals to do that, that's exactly what you're doing. So, anyway, I'm done. Okay, let's see. I got a couple more here. I don't know if any of you saw about the Food Workers Union going on strike, but I'm going to read this because I have a comment about that. And okay, this is off of Newsmax, and I got this October the 6th. Fed up by pandemic, U.S. food workers go on strike. A summer of labor unrest at U.S. food manufacturers has stretched into fall as pandemic-weary workers continue to strike for better pay. Around 1,400 workers at Kellogg Company U.S. cereal plants walked off the job this week, saying negotiations with company over pay and benefits are at an impasse. Meanwhile, in Kentucky, the strike by 420 workers against Heaven Hill Distillery is in the fourth week. The actions come on top of strikes earlier this summer by 600 workers at the Frito-Lay plant in Topeka, Kansas, and 1,000 workers at the Nabisco plant across the United States in June. Smithfield Foods narrowly avoided a strike by thousands of workers at its plant at Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Long hours, mandatory overtime. The number of actions is unusual. Kellogg says it is the first time in the U.S. cereal workers have gone on strike since 1972. Nabisco workers was last walked off the job in 1969. But after a difficult 18 months, which saw many workers pulling 12-hour shifts and mandatory overtime to meet pandemic demands, Employees are in no mood for compromise. We draw a line in the sand, said Robert Long, a production mechanic who has worked at Kellogg's Omaha plant for 11 years. There goes my voice failing, kids. So hopefully I can finish getting through here. Long said he and others were upset about two-tiered system of employees that give fewer benefits and less pay to newer workers, creating a wedge between the ranks. Long said the company wants to get rid of the provision that currently caps the lower tier of workers at 30% of the workforce. After decades of watching companies chip away at pay and benefits, food workers sense they have a rare upper hand in the wake of pandemic, says Patricia Kopus Media, the executive director of the Workers Institute at ILR Cornell. Labor shortage means companies can't easily find replacements for food production workers, she said. The pandemic puts a spot on the essentials and sometimes dangerous nature of their work. So, let's see. Labor shortage companies can't. Okay, I read that. Workers in general are demanding that companies invest more in workforce and not just use the profits for shareholders, he said. Uh, Campos Media said the trend is not only happening with unionized workers like those at Kellogg, who are members of the Bakery, Confection, Tobacco Workers, and Grain Mills Union. Non-union fast food workers have walked off the jobs in dozens of U.S. cities seeking a $15 minimum wage, and workers at 3 Starbucks stores in Buffalo, New York are trying to unionize. The strike come as food companies are still trying to get back to normal levels of production. Kellogg's cereal sales had been anemic for years. For example, as families shifted to portable breakfast items like nutrition bars. But when schools closed and kids are at home last year, U.S. cereal sales jumped about 7%. So far this year, they're down 7.7%. Chris Basher, Kellogg's Senior Vice President for Total Corporate Affairs, says the company's compensation and benefits are already among the industry's best. The company says its employees made an average of $120,000 last year. Okay, but how many hours a day and how many days a week did they have to work the 12 hours a day in order to get that kind of money? And we're disappointed by union decision to strike, said Kellogg, being negotiated a new 4-year contract on September 8th. But workers on the picket line in Omaha say they routinely work 74 to 84 hours a week to earn the money. And I know exactly what they're talking about because I did that for a while. And I was a machine operator. And after about 4 or 5 weeks or 6 weeks of doing that, you were standing at your machine falling asleep, which was a dangerous thing. Anyway, some workers said they've endured 12-hour shifts 7 days a week through the pandemic with only a few minutes notice about mandatory overtime. We do make good money, but we've given up a lot, said Dan Johnson, a packing machine operator who has worked at Kellogg since 2001. If we worked just 40 hours a week, we'd make nowhere near that kind of wage. Well, you're right. You would not make it because of the overtime, paying you time and a half, and that. So, well, a little comment that was not in here that I saw in the national news was that Kellogg said that if they couldn't come to a agreement with the union, that they would consider moving their facilities to Mexico. Well, all I can tell you is if they don't want to pay the people a wage, and I don't know what their basic wage is, but I know if you're working 72 to 84 hours a week, you're doing a double shift. You're working 2 weeks in one, and you're getting time and a half. So figure it out. Anyway, if they should move to Mexico, then we should all stop buying Kellogg products until they bring the plant back. That's if they move. Well, unfortunately, kids, my voice has gone. So I'm going to call it quits until next week. And the Lord willing, the creeks don't rise. I'll be here again. Hopefully Scotty will be here so he can take some of the pressure off of me talking and that. But remember, I forgot what I wanted to say. Damn it! God bless the Republic. Death to the New World Order. We shall prevail, and don't forget to hug your rifle. Good night, kids. See you next week.